Hello, this is David Wilcoxon. In this video, I discuss Charlie Kirk and the Israel connection. I understand that this topic is not what I usually focus on, but it's very important to talk about as the enemy is using Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk being taken out to promote an agenda which will affect Christians. As for providing solid proof about the false flag event, all one needs is eyes to see the fakery of the official narrative, and I provided plenty of evidence to show the lies of government leaders in the media in the previous two videos. Showing the fakery of his shooting sets up the narrative about the agenda that's being played out, which is much bigger than knowing who shot Charlie or if the hit was faked. Turning Point USA, government leaders, and the media are promoting the official narrative. Thus, they are misleading people, and that's a significant thing to understand moving forward. In the Charlie Kirk shooting conspiracy theories video, I show that Charlie was confronted by and warned by Jewish donors to Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, Stu Peters, and other alternative media people are speaking out against Israeli leaders, exposing some of their crimes against humanity. In the past, controlled opposition media puppets didn't talk much about the evil ways of the Khazar Jews. Rather, they served to deflect blame away from them. But recently, there's been a shift, as the enemy has changed strategies, and now are exposing Israel's crimes against humanity, so that they can accuse people of being anti-Semitic. I don't believe that these media puppets suddenly woke up about this topic, and that they're putting their lives on the line by exposing them. I think that they're playing their role in setting up a trap for the enemy to be able to take action against those deemed as anti-Semitic. Interestingly, Candace Owens is acting bolder than ever, purposely pointing to Israel as the culprits in Charlie's murder. And we see some of those headlines here of Candace Owens points finger at Israel, Jewish donors after Charlie's tragedy. Tucker and Candace war over Israel hijacking Kirk legacy. Candace Owens reveals Charlie Kirk's turn against Israel in his final days. And Megyn Kelly breaks down the controversy surrounding Candace Owens, Ackman, Israel, and Charlie Kirk. A few days after Charlie's takedown, Candace Owens warned that she is ready to go to war against anyone who thinks they can step in to replace Charlie, perhaps pointing to Israel supporter Ben Shapiro. She promised to release every single text message and expose everything. She told them to back off now, claiming she knows exactly who they are. In regard to them taking Charlie's place at Turning Point USA, Candace said, "Over my dead body," which I'm sure can be arranged, which sets up the narrative of her being taken out. She's even reportedly activated a dead man switch, which means that information that she has about Israel's leaders will be revealed if something happens to her. In my opinion, Candace is a controlled opposition actor who is setting the stage, making threats against the Zionists, which may lead to her being taken out publicly. It will infuriate Christians if they take her out. But at the same time, it would make some believe that Israel caused Charlie's death and her death, which would create a conflict in their mind as they support Israel. Tucker Carlson is also proclaiming the truth about Charlie and Israel. In this video, it says Tucker Carlson reveals the truth about Charlie Kirk, Israel, and Netanyahu. In a live broadcast, Tucker Carlson, who was once considered part of the pro-Israel movement, proclaimed this bold statement, which ignited a storm of attacks against him. He said, "There is no such thing as God's chosen people. God does not choose a people who kill children. This is heresy, and these are criminals and thieves." And I've seen many YouTube video titles connecting Charlie Kirk and Israel, such as this one from Anonymous. And this one titled Netanyahu Bought Kirk, The Blood Money Exposed by Max Blumenthal. And this one saying, "Game over, Israel. U.S. backlash against Israel is unstoppable." Candace Owen shared the following statements from Charlie, which he made in a group text chat 2 days before his reported death. Just lost another huge Jewish donor, Kirk wrote. $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker from being a speaker at the December 2025 America Fest event. Then he said, I'm thinking of inviting Candace, which would be another rebellion against the Jewish donors. Kirk wrote, Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this. And he concluded with, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Turning Point spokesman Andrew Calvet confirmed the authenticity of Charlie Kirk's messages on The Charlie Kirk Show. These statements from Charlie seems like he was brave enough to speak the truth about the manipulative ways of the Jewish leaders, but it may have been an act to cause a reaction, so that the enemy can provide a solution. The Charlie Kirk takedown may be a tactic to show people what happens when you openly oppose Israel, to try to get people to stop talking about it. And pointing to Israel being behind the Charlie Kirk takedown reinforces that he's dead. But in my previous 2 videos, I show the deception that is involved may indicate that his death was faked. Christians have been programmed to blindly support Zionist Israel. So it's a conundrum for them to see Christian alternative media people proclaiming the truth about the wickedness of those that they believe are God's chosen people. Orthodox Jews in New York and other places openly protest against the Zionist state of Israel, and they're obviously not anti-Semites. They are anti-Zionist. Pointing out truth about the actions of the leaders of Israel is not hatred of the Jewish people. Let's be clear about that. A growing percentage of the U.S. population now disapprove of what Israel is doing in Gaza, and they're speaking out about these crimes against humanity. People wouldn't despise the leaders of Israel if they weren't committing crimes against humanity. As I've witnessed what's taken place, especially since October 7th, 2023, it appears that the leaders of Israel are purposely trying to get people to oppose them. Anyone who researched that event knows that the attack was allowed to happen, and that the stories about many women being raped and babies being beheaded were made up. Former Israeli military soldiers declared that Israel knows what's happening on every inch of the wall, as there are cameras everywhere, and that there's no way for them to not see an attack coming. They said that most of the military personnel who were normally in the area were moved away before the attack. Former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant admits Israel killed its people using the Hannibal Directive on October 7th, under the guise of not letting them become captives of Hamas. Apache helicopters destroyed houses and cars, and the Palestinians don't have that kind of firepower to do that kind of damage. The Jews' motto is never again, but they have relentlessly attacked the people who welcomed them to the land of Palestine during the 1948 Nakba, and ever since. Israel has attacked many countries during the last few years to expand their Greater Israel Project. They helped overthrow President Assad in Syria and gave control of the country to an ISIS killer. It seems like the enemy is wanting to incite people into despising the actions of Jewish leaders, which they can then condemn as anti-Semitism and take action against them. At the same time, Israel is funding a $4 million campaign to use churches and Christian influencers to promote the support of Israel. Pro-Israel and anti-Palestinian ads target Christians, and they reportedly will start having a mobile October 7th experience exhibit to travel to church parking lots and Christian colleges, no doubt totally misrepresenting what took place that day. And they're paying millions per month for AI-driven social media activity under a project codename the Esther Project. Will Erica Kirk be considered Esther, who will use Turning Point USA to get youth to support Israel? Interestingly, supposed prophet Kim Clement foretold that a woman named Esther would arise, and people are portraying her as the modern-day Esther. Most people had no idea who Charlie Kirk was until this event. Now Christians are seeing the statements that Charlie Kirk said against the Israeli leaders, as he said that October 7th was a staged event that was allowed to happen to promote a narrative, and that Epstein was a Mossad agent who was used to blackmail people. The evil ones seemed to be making it appear that Jews and the leaders of Israel had a strong motive to remove Charlie from his powerful position at Turning Point USA. Netanyahu was quick to declare publicly that Israel had nothing to do with Charlie's shooting, which only serves to make people suspect that they were involved. On January 29, 2025, President Trump issued an executive order 14188 called Additional Measures to Combat Anti-Semitism. Donald Trump has made anti-Semitism a major talking point, saying that legal action can be taken against people accused of such. Tucker Carlson recently published a series about the truth of 9/11. Though he's deceivingly not pointing to Israel carrying it out, he's pointing to them having foreknowledge. The timing of that expose is very convenient, as the enemy is trying to get people to rise up and unite against Jews and Israel. What if the truth comes out that the Israeli Mossad played a major role in the 9/11 attack? What if the truth comes out that Israel allowed the October 7 attack to take place in order to justify an all-out war against Hamas, which has resulted in hundreds of thousands of Palestinians dying and being pushed out of Gaza? The enemy may carry out crimes against Jews in the USA and around the world to make it seem like people are acting out against them in order to justify more legislation. Israeli tech company Cyberwell is now working with the major social media platforms to censor anti-Semitism by utilizing AI to identify and automatically flag and remove hate speech. The White House has announced that the forced sale of TikTok would be finalized this week. The new ownership, led by Larry Ellison, the largest individual donor to the IDF, will take control of U.S. user data and the algorithm, which the White House says will be retrained. The 50 States One Israel Conference took place on September 14th through 18th, 2025, when 250 U.S. state legislators representing all 50 states met with members of the Israeli government. Why would they fly all those people over there? To help push legislation to counter pushback against people protesting the action of Israel's leaders. In other words, anything posted against the actions of the leaders of Israel is considered hate speech. This may lead to the implementation of the Noahide laws, when declared idolaters are beheaded. The trap is that those who believe that Jesus is deity are considered idolaters according to the Noahide laws. After the Charlie Kirk event, someone reported that the CIA intel has a plan to take out Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, and Tucker Carlson. If that's true, it would infuriate conservatives against the radical left, as government leaders and the media has positioned them as the enemy. If that agenda is real and carried out, it would be a brilliant plan to infuriate conservatives and push the USA into a civil war. Imagine what the emotional reaction would be if that happened. All three of those people were exposing the wickedness of the Israeli leaders. They're seen as truth tellers to many conservatives, but in my opinion, they are puppets playing a role. Just like the October 7 event was manufactured, and the Charlie Kirk takedown was manufactured, this division is being created on purpose. The wickedness of what's taking place against the Palestinian people is infuriating people who defend humanity. Maybe Christians would make the association and become anti-Zionist, which is tagged as anti-Semitism. The Israel issue is causing division in America and around the world, and that may be the trap. In his last term, Donald Trump expanded the definition of hate speech to include criticizing the state of Israel. He says America first, but his words and actions are making Israel first, which is infuriating many people. Donald Trump has made it illegal to burn an Israeli flag, but it's okay to burn the U.S. one, which offends patriots. Donald Trump tried to make it so that cities and states who boycott Israel will not receive federal disaster relief funding via FEMA, which ends up turning people away from supporting Israel. The twisted irony of the accusations of being anti-Semitic is that the leaders of Israel aren't Semites. They're the descendants of Khazars who converted to Judaism in the 8th century. They are Jews by religion and not blood. So criticism of them is not anti-Semitism. Jewish researchers validate this via DNA studies, and they show that some of the Palestinians are descendants of Abraham, as they are the descendants of those who regathered to the land. The majority of Israeli prime ministers changed their last names to appear more Jewish and Hebrew. David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, was born David Grun. Golda Meir, the fourth prime minister, was born Golda Meibovich. Shimon Peres, the eighth prime minister, was born Szymon Persky. The father of Benjamin Netanyahu was born with the last name Milikowski. They are the descendants of the Khazar Jews who took control of Russia, killing Tsar Nicholas II, his wife Alexandra, and their 5 children, and caused 50 million Russians, primarily Orthodox Christians, to perish. Many Jewish leaders revered the wicked Talmud and the Satanic Kabbalah over the Bible. Messiah foretold them in Revelation 3:9, saying that they are of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not. Watch the Who is a Jew in the Bible and the Who is a Spiritual Jew in the Bible videos for a detailed explanation. The Charlie Kirk event has helped stir up the emotions of people in regard to the Jews in Israel, which the enemy will use against them, as they'll be labeled as anti-Semite. And as Turning Point USA expands across the country, the support of Israel will be pushed. The enemy is creating an emotionally driven division among Americans, especially Christians, who are now conflicted about supporting Israel's leaders. One side adamantly supports Israel no matter what. The other side is against Israel's leaders' wicked actions and can't support them any longer, just like Charlie Kirk proclaimed. If this kind of information benefits you, please like the video, comment, and share it with others, as this helps get it ranked so that others will see the explanations. Subscribe to the channel if you want to be notified about new videos.